Hello, everyone, and welcome to another divisional preview. We have a bunch that are going to be dropping this week due to scheduling conflicts. We pushed them back, but we are going to make it work and get all these teams done before the NFL season. Today is AFC South Day, and I already know we have a major disagreement with how we think of how this division is going to play out. So I believe this episode is going to be pretty fun. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it should be a lot of fun, but yeah, I know that neither of us are in agreement with how this division's going to end up at the end of the year.
Yep. A lot of disagreements, but that makes for a fun episode. And we got to kick it off with the divisional champs, the Houston Texans. And I got to ask, what are the Texans thinking trading away Laramie Tunsil and not really replacing him with quality?
Well, I think you and I have a difference of opinion there. He's had kind of a troubled career, not exactly a team friendly, locker room friendly guy, lots of issues. And you'll notice over the last couple of years that teams are jettisoning players that they might consider toxic to how they're trying to run the team. And I honestly think that's why Tunsil's gone. They brought in Cam Robinson. We saw him at the end of the year struggling mightily, but that's what they're going with for right now.
So, if anyone wants to hear my full thoughts on Cam Robinson as a player, check out my season team preview of the Minnesota Vikings, in which I said losing him is addition by subtraction. So, by that logic, the Texans adding him is subtraction by addition.
Well, I'm kind of shocked though that their starting tackles are of course Cam Robinson, which neither of us has a very high opinion of, and Ursery, who was a second round pick out of Minnesota. So, and
Who
that was this year.
I also really was met on that pick. I see the potential, but I saw it. I'm like, that dude's not ready to play.
Well, I mean, it might have been that they thought that Trent Brown would, take that role while Ursery worked into it. But with him being as old as he is,
And injury prone,
an
as you said.
injury, yeah. So, but I guess, do you want to get into the draft or do you want to get into the additions and the subtractions?
Well, I think it's important to talk about the rest of the subtractions because one does play a major role in the draft with how they address their needs. And losing Stephon Diggs, now, he was 1 year. Everyone knew it was a 1 year rental. But I'm just going to ask, who's happier about the contract? Stephon Diggs getting that much money or the Texans knowing they're getting a pretty good comp pick back in return?
Well, I think that they'd probably like to have had him, but it made more sense salary cap wise to get rid of him. Uh, you know, both of us think that Diggs is in the twilight of his career. So the fact that he was able to get one more big payday, hey, kudos to him, right? He's put in the work through his career, so he's earned a little payday.
Yeah. And there's not a whole lot to talk about, like with Texans ads. They just really went bargain bin shopping, which is expected, especially knowing, hey, they're going to have to hand out a major contract to CJ Stroud here soon, and they have other guys they're paying a good bit. But I do want to mention his name before we move on to the draft because this has been your guy since he entered the league. What are your thoughts on Nick Chubb being a Houston Texan?
Well, it's going to depend upon how healthy he comes back, right? I mean, Nick Chubb is just a beast, and he's one of those players where it's just tragic to see the injuries that he's had because can you imagine if he hadn't had these year-ending injuries year in year out? I mean, let's just go back to when they played Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh and he got hurt. I mean, there is no love lost between those teams, and the Steelers fans did a standing ovation when he was taken off the field, and I believe that it was out of respect. He's just a class act, a great football player, and one of those players where we just never got to see his full potential because of the injuries. But when he's healthy, he's special.
Yep, and the question is, even if he does is fully healthy, how much of that has been lost due to those knee injuries. And I can't remember the exact number, but I know he's had at least over 4 surgeries in his knees. And he is not an old guy by any stretch of the means. He just turned 30. Just running back's a very hard position. And it takes a toll on you.
I mean, there's nothing that says that he's not going to come out. And I mean, his career is probably shortened, yes, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be able to give some valuable reps for the Texans this year.
No, and especially if they can do a running back system. Now, I know Joe Mixon is currently dealing with a current injury. I don't know the full extent to that, but you look at that, that's not a bad duo, and you had Dameon Pierce as a third option. It's not a bad running back set the Texans have there at all.
Oh gosh, no, definitely not.
Okay, now let's jump into the draft, and I feel like I want to talk about the two players together because, well, they were teammates, and I kind of lumped them in together. Noel and Higgins, I wasn't as high on as everyone else because I really felt like they lacked the separation ability that a lot of wide receivers you want to draft. They just didn't have that. They were very good in contested catches. Do not get me wrong. They can catch anything. And that was very crucial, is why I think they were drafted as high as they were. My question is, though, guys who lack separation ability at the college level, can they create the NFL level, or are they just only going to be reliable as just the contested catch guys?
Well, a lot of that will depend upon a couple of things. One, the offensive scheme that they're coming from, but also, the quarterback itself, right? I mean, if the quarterback can't throw you open, right, and you're just supposed to be a seam player or a set player, where you're basically going to a spot and then you're just waiting on the ball. Yeah, you're not going to create separation, right? So it'll be interesting to see with a quarterback of Stroud's caliber how they do. I actually feel that Higgins has had pretty good separation from when I watched him. Noel, he's shifty. I just don't know if he was used the right way, but I think that both players are going to be important. I mean, you think about it, the Texans have a ton of wide receiver depth.
Which really makes me question why they double dipped so early, especially when you look at the issues that they have at a certain position group as a whole.
Yeah, it is kind of shocking. I'm was kind of surprised. I mean, they did take Ursery in the second, but yeah, you know, maybe they feel strongly about some of the depth that they have, right? I mean, Juice Scruggs, he's played for him, so Jake Andrews. They've both played and have been serviceable. Maybe they're just thinking that with the different offense, uh, Stroud's not going to have to hold on to the ball as long, and this offensive line is going to be better. A lot of times, and you and I have had this discussion more so than not, it's not always the offensive line's fault. I mean, I'll go back to Seattle and Russell Wilson. I beat this like a dead horse, but it's really, really hard to protect your quarterback when you don't know where he's going to be. And then if he's holding the ball a long time because he's trying to set up that big go ball. And last year, Stroud took a lot of hits. Not all of them were instantaneous. A lot of it was because that he was holding onto the ball, waiting for that. And you remember, Nico was out for quite a bit of the season, and that hurts when your number one player isn't it. And if you're holding the ball that long, you're gonna get smacked around, and that's not the offensive line's fault. The defense gets paid too.
I would say, though, that interior got beat up so bad after the ball was snapped. I don't really blame Stroud as much as I look at that interior offensive line as just a major weakness. And yes, I'm well aware they trade Kenyon Green, who was very bad. I'm curious to see what the Eagles get out of him. I think they had a good trade, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson there. We'll talk about Chauncey a little bit later on because we are recording this after the injury popped up and also after week 1 of the preseason game. So we do have a little insight on that. The next pick was Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith, I thought, was a fine cornerback. He didn't blow my socks off, but third round, that was appropriate value for me. Just a solid player.
Oh yeah, he's he might work his way into fifth in the rotation, but he'll play on special teams.
Yeah. Willie Marks. Now, this is a name that intrigued me because I had him valued as a receiving threat out of the backfield. I didn't really see a lot of him as running the football in between the tackles and all that. I thought he could be a James White type player with how he played the game to me a lot.
I was shocked with Jalen Reed that he went in the sixth. I honestly thought that he'd go sooner than that. I really like him. I think he's a pretty good playmaker. So I think that he's going to be a valuable developmental piece. He'll play on special teams. I mean, their secondary is pretty good. So I don't know if he'll see a lot of time, unless there's an injury. But I think that he's gonna he will make the roster, and I think he'll make the roster better just because he's there.
I would expect him to make the roster. At the very least, he is such a natural athlete. He can be a special teams gunner. He can do all those features. And especially because, as I have mentioned, we are recording this after Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's injury. We don't know how long that could take him to come back, full speed, get up to everything, because he is learning a brand new defense. Reed may get some playing opportunities early on, especially during the preseason, with some maybe more starter reps that we wouldn't see otherwise.
Do you want to take Graham, since he came from some school?
I wish I had a face cam doing the Gator Chomp right now. Now listen, I understand he had a rough first preseason game. Fully understand that. Here's the key with Graham Mertz, and I never said he was going to be a starter in the NFL. Never said that. You want to check out a video on this channel, there is a Graham Mertz video on this channel in which I talk about him in length of what he can do well. With what he can do well is be a very good backup quarterback in the league in a West Coast style system that plays to his strengths. Graham Mertz is not going to be the guy that takes the ball back, drops back to pass, and reads and breaks down defenses every single play. That's not his play style. That's not what he can do. With what he can do is be a very good in a play-action-based offense with a really effective run game. It's what we saw established in Florida. Now, the key of why I think Graham Mertz was drafted here is because of his abilities off the field. You talk about anyone from that Florida program, you get them to talk about Graham Mertz, glowing reviews of what he was as a leader in that locker room, helping the freshmen come in. DJ Lagway is a guy who is really hyped up. Lagway has been very vocal about Mertz helping him out throughout the season. Even after he tore his ACL, he was on the sideline the week he had surgery, coaching Lagway through the game, helping him see defenses, just helping him overall. He was with the coaches. He was being that voice between the quarterback and the coach. What a backup quarterback needs to do. He can be that middleman at the end of the day. And listen, if Mertz doesn't make the NFL, I would expect him to become a coach at some point in his lifetime because he truly understands the games as the X's and O's. Just the play isn't up to the standard you would like for someone with his intelligence.
Well, you never know what can happen for him. I really don't know about Keontae Hamilton.
Run defender, big body.
Good. And then once again, seventh round for Luke Lachey, and I honestly thought that he'd go sooner. And I understand that this draft was full of tight ends, but an Iowa tight end with everything that he does, I just really thought that they do. I thought that he would definitely be, no later than the fifth, maybe early sixth, but not as far into the seventh as what they got him.
No, and especially when you look at the program's history of tight ends, you would expect someone to take a chance on him earlier. Maybe there was something that just didn't come out that we don't know about. Could be a red flag on the injury. We don't know. That's the only logical thing I can think of because he has better film than the 7th round pick, and he has the pedigree of being an Iowa tight end.
Absolutely. So their ads, I mean, we already talked about Cam Robinson. On the defensive interior, they brought in Sheldon Rankins. Darrell Taylor, now it's his third stop. Last year he was in Chicago after being cut by Seattle.
I am not dealing with more Darrell Taylor talk about how much better he could be. No, make it stop. Make it stop.
No. Laken Tomlinson last year was in Seattle, and do you know that according to PFF, there was Houston, of course, was the 32nd ranked worst offensive line last year. Do you know who was the 31st?
Eagles.
Almost. It is a bird that flies. Yeah, the Seahawks. And Lincoln Tomlinson was part of that problem. So, the contract isn't steep, but it's. I was shocked that they didn't try to bring in anybody else.
Yeah. And lastly, they did bring in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and there was an injury that happened. I read from Adam Schefter, as his report says. Further testing revealed that Texan safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson's knee injury isn't as serious as it could have been, and it's not out of the question that he could be back as soon as the regular season opener. That's a huge sigh of relief, especially with what Gardner-Johnson can bring to a back end. He is a very good turnover machine. I preached it when the Eagles lost him to the Lions. I was like, that's a major loss. He creates turnovers. He creates the havoc. Went back to Philly, won a Super Bowl. Maybe I knew something there. And now he's with Houston. And if he can play, those are turnovers I think the Texans defense can create. And if you have issues with your offensive line, maybe struggling at some points, getting extra possessions to help get points is a big key factor.
I think one of the things with him though is that you need the supporting cast because he gets his turnovers, but he kind of goes rogue to get them. And so you really need the supporting cast that can cover where he's at. He's out of position a lot.
I thought you were going to say he's just crazy and can get under people's skin.
No.
He's been in many fights.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Colts. They've got an interesting quarterback battle this offseason.
Which may already be solved by the time we're recording this, as Anthony Richardson left the game with a right arm injury.
I thought that they said that he was going to be okay.
They can say that, but right now you have that injury in a preseason game, and I don't think Daniel Jones looked all that good in that game. Do not get me wrong. That was one of the games I fully watched through live. It just... Okay. Should we just go really into this now about this debate?
Sure.
Anthony Richardson was drafted purely on potential, and everyone knew how raw he was. I will argue till I'm blue in the face, he was not ready to play early. I think playing him early was not smart. And I understand he needed reps. Do not get me wrong. But the development path has not helped him out as much. And a big reason why to that is he has been breaking down at every stop. And this isn't something that just popped up in the NFL. I'm a Florida Gators fan. I love AR. I want to see AR succeed. But he had many injuries at Florida. Notably, after he was announced as a starting quarterback, he danced in his room and injured himself. I am not kidding everyone. That's something that legitimately happened. Then he had injuries at Florida that kept on mounting up, went to the draft, and it's really unfortunate because this dude is one of the best physical specimens that we've ever seen play the position, if I'm correct.
Yeah, fair enough.
And it's just been... Injuries have derailed any progression he's been able to have, not only in the NFL, but at college, and it's really been rearing its ugly head. He has one of the best arms you'll ever see, where he can launch it anywhere on the football field. The problem is, it's not accurate, and that's been a big issue. Now, let's look at Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, really talented guy. I will still defend that pick from the Giants, but the Giants killed him. They just killed him. He had no offensive line for the majority of his career, and he took a lot of unnecessary hits, which really affected how he played the game, and his body started to break down. He's had many neck injuries, and which has really led to him having to play a shorter passing system game. Now, the reason why I wanted to point out is that Anthony Richardson, deep ball guy, Daniel Jones, short passing game. they really don't complement each other at all. One does the other thing really well, and the other does it the opposite. So when you look at this, when you're constructing a roster, you have two quarterbacks that do the opposite thing as your top two guys, which really messes up with your game plan week in, week out. And it's why I don't get this move 100%. And whoever I do think is named the starter, unless an injury happens, will be the starter throughout the season.
Some fair points. The one thing that I will say, though, is you don't need to have quarterbacks that have the same features. Let's face it, Anthony Richardson probably on his last leg here. If he doesn't prove out and ball out this year, he's probably going to be let go, right?
It's no secret where he's probably going to end up traded.
But what I'll say to that is that this just once again goes to show, teams that are drafting based upon traits instead of based upon on-field work, what the player's already done. And let's get this. You were a huge proponent of him in the draft. You talked about just how amazing he was, and you'd always say the Florida receivers let him down.
And they did. And those guys sucked.
But you were still on the hype train. And I was like, nope, don't want him. Because we've all seen this before where the guy's got so much potential. But it in today's NFL, first round draft picks can't sit. They just can't, right? If he was taken maybe in the third round or the fourth round or whatever else, which never would have happened. But if he was taken there and then just allowed to sit and learn, then who knows what could have happened. That being said, I think that Daniel Jones is going to win the job. And I think that he's actually going to do okay.
So, Colts fans, if you listen to my team preview, you know what I think of this team. So, I've already went kind of in depth and hard on their losses and gains. So, I want to give you more or less the floor with Will Fries, Ryan Kelly. What are the impact of those two guys leaving?
Well, I mean, how many games did Will Fries play last year?
I do not have that in my notes. Thanks a lot for that.
Well, but so Ryan Kelly has been hurt an awful lot. And Will Fries was out, for quite a bit of the season with an injury. Okay. So, I mean, if you remember last year, or was it 2 years ago, they dipped really heavy into the offensive line. So they have good faith in I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Matt, whatever his last name is.
Isn't it Matt Gunclears?
It's like Gone and then Calves, so I couldn't tell you, and I don't want to mess it up too bad. He's a big guy.
You can thank Madden for this. Matt Gone Calves.
Okay, fine, but their offensive line is gonna be good, right? Jonathan Taylor is still a really good running back. They bring in Tyler Warren. They've got good receivers. I mean, Pittman, Downs, and Alec Pierce, and then Adonai Mitchell, who you absolutely love. And, I mean, they've got weapons, right? And he's got Daniel Jones is going to have something with this offensive line that he has never had. And so I really think that he's going to be okay.
I'm getting flashbacks right now to last year's AFC South video we did.
Okay, you have to refresh my memory.
I was being told the Titans are going to do better than expected, and I said outright they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, I did. I did say that about the Titans
So,
last year.
so I'm just pointing out that I'm finding it funny. It's the exact same division preview episode we're doing it. Uh,
Oh, I understand, but I mean, this goes in and out every year we do this. There are teams you're high on that you're wrong on, and there's teams that you're high on that you're right on, and the same goes for me.
so my issue is, and I actually think less of this offensive line than you do. I don't think it's all that great of a unit. I think it's Quentin Nelson and just some guys that really you need to have work out. Their run game, I'm not worried about because there's no threat from the quarterback whatsoever. I look at AR, can throw it over your head, might land in the stands. Daniel Jones, his deep ball is non existent. So you can really play that first down marker and limit everything there. Like I said, Daniel Jones has had a lot of neck issues, and that's really limited his arm strength in his career. It's not what it once was. And it's very unfortunate as a Daniel Jones fan. And listen, before anyone questions it, I legitimately have a Daniel Jones Giants jersey in my closet. That's how big of a fan I am of him. Now,
I don't. I think you're highly overestimating or underestimating his arm. Look at that game against Minnesota a couple years ago in the playoffs.
and he's had 2 neck injuries since then.
But dependent upon the neck injury, that doesn't mean necessarily that his arm strength is gone.
Last year, it looked flat coming out of his hand. It was not good. I
Last year, he was hurt most of the. He was hurt.
And what was he hurting, battling against? More neck issues. His neck is not good anymore, and it's why
Well,
I think this team is really going to struggle.
I would really trust doctors, especially with the neck injuries, if they're giving him clearance. I'd say it's probably okay.
Yeah, he's okay to play, but I think he's a limited player of what he once was. And listen, I said this in the video. The Colts have a lot of talent I do like. I like Kenny Moore, but I don't know if he fits their timeline and they should maybe look to move him. Their Chartavius Ward move. Can't say I'm a fan of that because he's over 30 and you're paying him a good bit. And I just go on. I go down, look at him. Like Quentin Nelson, well, I'd keep him because odds are you'll be picking high enough to draft a quarterback. But a lot of the players I don't think fits the timeline, and especially with what's happened this offseason, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, we are probably looking at a clean sweep with the Colts after this season. We're going to see no more Shane Steichen. Chris Ballard is probably going to be fired. We're going to see a new Colts team in 2026.
Once again, we'll see at the end of the year, right? Let's get to their draft.
Their draft. Actually, hey, I got something positive to talk about them with. Finally.
Yeah.
Although
They got the second best tight end in the draft, as far as I'm concerned, with their
I
first overall pick.
I think they got the best tight end in this draft because
Yeah.
listen, Colston Loveland, talented tight end. Tyler Warren, special. Tyler Warren was a special talent. Wherever I had my eyes on him, loved him. He was one of the guys I would have drafted in the top 10 this year because there weren't many special talents this year. Tyler Warren was one of them. He can truly take over a game as we saw at Penn State many times. Drew Aller has all this hype as a Penn State quarterback entering next year's draft because he was throwing this ball to this over 6'5" freakish athlete that can make anything happen. I truly believe Tyler Warren can be that next generational tight end that takes over the league.
Oh, I'm not saying that he's not uber talented. I feel Colson Loveland has a lot more. I mean, a lot more potential, a lot more ceiling, and he showed out really well. But I mean, sadly, he didn't have the offense that Tyler Warren had to feed him the ball. JJ Tuimalu.
JT Tuimalu.
Yeah, that too.
Tuimalu was a guy I questioned as a pass rusher, but I really loved him as a run stuffer. He was a very good run defender. I felt like he could play the run at a really high level, and in fact, he was better than the other guy from Ohio State that got hyped up a bunch. And listen, there were a couple of Ohio State guys. I'm referring to the one that was really hyped up by the media during the college football season. JT Tuimalu really... Okay, I'm going to make a comment and you tell me if you agree or not. He reminded me a lot of Brett Kiesel.
I don't see it, but hey, man, it's your show. Keep talking.
Okay, when I watched Brett Kiesel as a kid, and mind you, I was a kid, so maybe I'm misremembering it, but I have gone back and watched some of his games. He always felt like a guy that could help his teammate. He wasn't necessarily going to make the play, but he was going to make sure his teammate could get there. He was really good at closing the gaps on running lanes, forcing guys to bounce outside, getting tackled for loss. That's really what I saw a lot in JT Tuamalo.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I kind of liked him, so I mean, that whole defensive line worked together. And let's face it, not everybody is going to come in with the full bag to begin with, right? So everybody should be, if they're not like the overall first, you know, pick in the draft, they should have to develop on some things. Justin Wally out of Minnesota. I know Minnesota cornerbacks, excuse me, are your favorite to talk about.
I like their safeties more than their corners.
Well, fair enough.
Wally, I don't really have a lot of notes on him because I was very unimpressed when I watched him. I knew he was going to get drafted around. I had him in my notes. Round 3 to round 5 was where I thought he would be picked based off everything I read on him. I personally felt like he's got a future as a special teamer.
Okay, well, he hits hard, so that's there. He's
And
got that for him.
he's got that, and maybe he should switch positions because that was something I maybe thought of. He should maybe look to be more of a nickelback.
It, do you really think is? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he
That
can cover outside guys. That's my
that
thing.
short area quickness might be an issue there as well. Jalen Travis, tackle out of Iowa State. We've seen the AFC South definitely likes their Iowa State players, don't they?
Yeah, and man, this is where I get really depressed because we're in the Swing of the Colts picks that I really don't care for. Travis, I wasn't all impressed with him again. He was a solid guy. I understand the pick, but I saw some issues in his game. I thought he got beat with speed way too often. He was really slow getting out of his breaks. If a speed rusher was coming off the edge, they would obliterate him. I think it showed up many a times during the Miami game. And Miami really didn't have that great pass rush, but they had a lot of speed, and it beat him up a couple times.
And then you got DJ Giddens. You should probably like him, right?
I'm going to take a couple steps back.
Oh, not a fan of Giddens, huh?
I don't want to say what grade I had on him. I had a fear.
Oh. Okay. Well, I mean, so basically, from what I'm getting, it's not sounding like. I know that you weren't a fan of Riley Leonard's.
And
So
I'm a fan of Riley Leonard if they move him to tight end, which they're yet to do. So, yeah, no, not a fan of that pick either. Okay, but real quick on DJ Giddens, I thought he was just too slow. He doesn't have any burst. I had him listed as a priority UDFA, but I'd like to see him put on weight and move to fullback. That's what I.
Well, when you average 6.5 yards a carry, and you're really good out of the backfield, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure his frame is going to hold up as a fullback, but
He lacked a lot of burst when I watched him, and before people say what you just said, he averaged 6 yards carry. I don't think people understand how bad Big 12 rush defenses were. It was not pretty. Houston could run the ball on people. Their interior defensive lines would get bullied by the offensive lines, especially by an offensive line as good as Kansas State's. They really dominated up front, which allowed him to really get a lot of clear spaces. Smith from Alabama, I thought this was a solid pick. Again, not something that really blew me out of the water, but he always played the run very good. He has that stamp of approval from Alabama. I don't necessarily think he's going to be anything spectacular, but a guy that I believe can be a rotational defensive tackle in the future.
well, we talked about their ad with Charvarius Ward. What about bringing in Cam Bynum?
Cam Bynum. Now, I like the player. I don't like the contract. I think they maybe overpaid him a bit. Talented guy. I think he can be a good safety for a long period of time. but I'm not a fan of the 15 AAV. Now, I do know it's pretty much just a 2-year contract, $30 million guaranteed, but I still think that they maybe paid him too much. But you look at 2 years, get out of it right before he turns 30. I can't hate on the deal too much.
Okay. We already talked about the fact that they lost Will Freeze.
Well, we're missing one draft pick here.
Hunter Wohler.
Hunter Wohler, and I wanted to bring him up because this guy, I had him in my notes during the draft process. Budget Harrison Smith. As in, he plays a lot like him, just not as good as him. So maybe if he can really grind it out, there could be something there. Because he has a lot of traits similar to Harrison Smith. He just has a ways to grow.
Well, I mean, hey, that's not bad. I mean, I'm trying to see where they have him. Oh, they have him. They have him actually on the second string behind Nick Cross.
Budget Harrison Smith on the way.
There you go.
Well, and listen, before a lot of people say it, I'm not saying that because of, well, you look at him. No, he is not the athlete that a lot of safeties are. He's just not. He's not a Cooper DeJean, and that's what I'll use as an example here to stay in that area. With what he is a very intelligent guy that knows how to read quarterbacks. He just isn't there yet. There's some kinks missing out that I think he can really work on.
Okay. They did lose quite a bit. I mean, they lost Will Freeze, Ryan Kelly, you've already talked about. They lost Joe Flacco. He's back up in Cleveland. EJ Speed, we didn't really talk about it too much with Houston, but losing him and then Houston getting him, I think is a pretty big deal. And then of course Oyabadejio, the defensive end, and I think that's probably one of the bigger losses for them is losing him.
Thank you for taking that name. I had butchered that name so many times during the recording process. Dio, I really do like, and that was a guy I was really sad to see leave, especially for the price that he left for. I really think the Colts could have paid him that. I don't think we've seen the best of Dio yet, and the Bears getting him, I think, is a big step upwards because he can be a pretty good pass rusher, in my opinion. Something the Colts desperately need still.
All right. Anything else to move on with the Colts, or do you want to jump into the Jags?
Let me be more positive. Let's move on to the Jaguars before I have eggs thrown at me.
All right.
The Jaguars. Here's probably the number 2 team we're going to clash on the most. Because I'm putting my eggs on the basket here, guys. I love this Jags team, and I believe this is the first new head coach we get to talk about, if I'm correct. Wait, no, Pete Carroll, but...
No, Pete Carroll was, with the Raiders.
How new is he? Liam Cohen. I loved Liam Cohen at Tampa. I really loved a lot of his offensive schemes. Now, I know he did a lot of the same stuff Dave Canales did there. Guess what? It works. They had a really good run attack in Tampa Bay. And now you look at the fact he's really just trying to replicate that Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. And we'll talk about more of the younger guys that they brought in a second, but you look at Brian Thomas Jr. That dude was amazing last year. You look at the offensive line, made some big improvements on it. They brought in Robert Hainsey, Patrick McCurry, 2 big-time names improving on that horrible Jaguars offensive line. There's very much a fundamental shift in the thought process of how to build out this roster. It feels like it's going to be more of a run-focused, work-off, play-action team. Would you agree?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what Cohen did, in Tampa. So I would say you're probably right.
Which now let's just get into losses. Losing Evan Ingram. If you're going to be a run-focused team, you probably shouldn't have Evan Ingram as your number 1 tight end. It just doesn't work out as well. Luke Farrell, I like Luke Farrell a good bit. I think that was a good pickup from 49ers. Andre Sisco, could take it or leave it. Mac Jones, the backup quarterback last year. And You lost Ronald Darby, who I believe is retired now after signing with the Texans. Tim Jones, Jeremiah Ledbetter, Devin Duvernay, who is a very good special teams player, Blake Hennis, Caleb Johnson, Joshua DeGora. I could go on, but we're to the point it's not real impactful players.
No. They were, those are a lot of those guys were. Hey, let's face it, they're still NFL players, right? And
they're making a good living.
So give them that because they're doing something that neither one of us have the capacity to do.
Well, see, I was given poor genetics from my father, so I was screwed.
Work ethic helps though too. The one thing I'll say about Evan Ingram, you say that a receiving tight end isn't really what you want. A lot of times when you're you're running out of 12 personnel sets, and you want a blocking tight end and you want a receiving tight end. And I mean, here's where I come in with that. Lawrence and Ingram had such a connection that I understand he had some injuries last year. I still think that when you take away one of a guy's best receiving options, it makes me concerned.
That's very fair, but it's also getting your guy who you loved when he was entering the draft a chance to shine in Brenton Strange.
But once again, Strange is more of that prototypical, blocking release guy, right? He's not that guy, the Evan Ingrams or some of those other players that are going to catch 50 balls throughout the season for, close to 1,000 yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns.
And that's very fair. And maybe there's something we're going to talk about later on of guys they could add. But you look at who they picked up. Would you say they made some really good additions the offseason with McCarry, Hainsey, and Brian Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray as well?
They brought in solid players. There's no doubt about that. De'Ami Brown, a solid wide receiver. It'll be interesting to see just how much he actually plays, right? Or even, they've got a lot of players that can play ball. So, I'm not sure they really needed him there.
So I would argue they need him strictly for the fact, and we'll talk about their draft here in a second. We don't know how much Travis Hunter will be playing wide receiver, playing cornerback. I still don't believe he's going to be full-time at both in the NFL. I just don't. It's a believe it when I see it. So when you look at someone like that, who is probably going to have some limited reps, especially his rookie year, adding a guy like De'Ami Brown, I think, is important.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that there are other areas where they could have spent money and done it. But like I said, there's nothing against De'Ami Brown. So I guess let's jump into the draft. And this was a big time trade.
Big time gamble. I have a question. When was the last time we saw a team give up next year's first round draft pick and a trade up that wasn't for a quarterback? And why do I think it's Marcus Davenport with the Saints?
Oh, that could be. It happened, it happened twice this year.
Yeah, it was crazy to me that I don't remember the last time we saw it, and we saw it twice in this season, both with South Divisional teams, not same division, but same region. It kind of shocked me that Cleveland got so much for that. I think it was a good trade for Cleveland, and it's a big-time risk and gamble by the Jaguars. Travis Hunter is a special talent. There's no doubt about it. I don't think he should play both sides of the ball his rookie year. I will argue that, and I know a lot of people disagree. He looked good in the game against the Steelers. I saw a lot of fans who point out, yeah, he didn't get this, he didn't get that. Listen, you just really got to watch his reps, and I watched the game film before we recorded this. I saw some really talented reps from him, and I saw him doing it on both sides. But my question was, he didn't look at full speed. It looked like it was still really clicking there. And I know it's preseason. We have more preseason games to go. But I saw that, and I saw a lot of backups on the game for the Steelers. It made me really think, are we really going to do this in the regular season?
I think that it's the first preseason game. You know, 7-on-7 drills are fine. 11-on-11, but that first preseason game, and they didn't get a lot of reps, so I think he'll be fine. Is he going to be the number one receiver on the team? I don't believe so.
No.
Right? You have Brian Thomas Jr. for that, right? But Hunter can definitely cause problems, and that can help clear out things for Brian Thomas. So
So here's a question I want to ask: is he more important for the offense or defense for the Jaguars? I say defense personally, but that's because I think cornerback is his better position overall.
I think really it's just going to depend upon how they want to use him, right? I mean, we've talked about it in the draft. Every time we saw highlights of Shador and Travis Hunter, quite a few of those highlights were Travis Hunter making an exceptional catch out of a very poorly thrown ball. Like the one where I think it was in the end zone where he like had to come back and go over the guy to get it because it was severely underthrown. There was quite a few balls like that, and so I think he's a true talent at wide receiver. That's not saying that he's not a talent at cornerback either. I do worry size wise that he may. I mean, let's face it. Put him up against Nico Collins.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the ironic thing is, he's not short. He is 6'1", but
he's not big.
Yeah, he's not big, as you're saying.
And, you put your hands on some of these big receivers, and it will cause problems. So,
and we have seen Hunter take and a lot of people would say a dirty shot, in which it was in the Colorado State game, but it took him a long time to recover from that. He missed a lot of games. And that is something we have to remember is these guys are not going against men. They just are. And let's say a wide receiver screen is called and Travis Hunter's covering that. An offense tackle can come out and light him up. And he is not a big enough guy that he's going to get up easy as can be.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't know. I think, in my opinion, that you try him at both and see where he's going to excel at. But I personally think that receiver has more opportunity for him to shine.
And that's fair. Moving on to their next pick, which is, hey, we get to talk about more cornerback play in Caleb Ransaw. Ransaw very much intrigued me as a player because I never had a good feel for him. I couldn't tell you if he was good or bad. I was very undecided. And when he was drafted, I was I don't know yet. And I still honestly don't have a good feel for him.
I'll be honest. I didn't watch him play that much, so I don't really have a lot to say about him, unfortunately. I've always liked Tulane, but
okay, well, we can move on. Wyatt Millam. Now, I don't know how much of this guy you watched, but I know you had to listen to me talk about him a good bit. Wyatt Millam, to me, was a guard that I believe you take, and you could maybe start him day one, because I think he's got all the characteristics, but I'm not against him being the backup. To me, this is something I'm going to very much keep note of with West Virginia players, because they seem to be turning out pretty good interior offensive linemen right now, because he reminded me a lot of Zach Frazier. He has that good wrestling technique, and I can't remember if he wrestled or not, but when you watched him, he blocked like a wrestler would. very good hands, very good strength, kept his hand clean. He didn't get in positions where he had to hold a bunch. He was very good in the pass game, very good in the run game. Now, I know West Virginia's offense sucked as a whole. You watch White Milliam, he was by far the best player they had on that side of the ball last year, and it wasn't even close.
Well, he also has some versatility because if needed in a pinch, he can slide out to play tackle. He's 6'6", so he can, and he has played tackle before. So there is some versatility there. But I think really guard is going to be where he's going to make his mark. He's probably already, like fighting for, the starting left guard job with Ezra Cleveland, but we'll see.
And
I think it's Cleveland, isn't it?
it is Ezra Cleveland, and I will say this: I don't know if I'd play Cleveland over him.
Well, I'm just saying because he's the incumbent, right?
Oh, 100%. And I would just argue, you watch his film, I thought he was better than a third-round pick. That's just me, though. Now moving on to Baishel Tutin. Did you watch a whole bunch of him? Because I had to watch a good bit because I at one point thought this was the guy the Steelers were going to take. So, did you watch a lot of him?
No.
Okay, here's where I take over. You know who he plays like? Bucky Irvine. Same skill set.
Okay, interesting.
So, he is drafted to be Liam Cohen's Bucky Irvine. Is he going to be the starting running back by the end of the season? I don't know. I look at the room, and it wouldn't shock me considering the guys in front of him are Etienne, who has not been the guy we thought he could be when drafted, and Tanks Bigsby. Those are the two guys listed in front of him, and I can't say for certain. I think either one of them are better than him.
I would think that just by how they like were playing him this weekend. I mean, they're having him return kicks and things. So I think they see him more of just a return guy he had a fast combine. So
Lightning pick.
Yeah. So I think that's where the team's seeing him right now.
Jack Kaiser.
Love him.
I liked him a good bit. And so in my notes, and again, I will reference my notes for the draft process because I wrote notes on a lot of players. I wrote down, and this was before the draft, should be a Bengal. Well, the Bengals didn't draft him. Guess what? The Jaguars did. I think he's in a better spot.
Yeah. He's just a solid linebacker, right?
Solid. Can play downhill. That was really my biggest takeaway. Good downhill player. And when you look at the Texans, the Colts, the Titans, they're all going to want to run the ball. I believe he can be a good player in that.
Jalen McLeod, another linebacker.
Special teams guy I had written down.
I don't think he's going to play much linebacker. I think they'll probably play him at edge. Just as like a backup, but that's where he did most of his damage in college. So,
okay. I'm afraid I'm going to butcher the next guy's name, so I apologize.
Raven Lane.
Yep, thank you. Played for Navy, which that cannot be discredited when you look at how much is on the pressure of them. This guy, and I said it with McLeod, I'm going to say it again, he really reminded me of a special teams player. I don't really know how much versatility he has on the defense side of the ball, but I watched a good bit of him. Like, this is a guy that can come off the edge, can maybe try and block some punts, could be a very good gunner, is a plus athlete getting downfield, has some really good tackling technique that I think he can be a good tackler in the open field, which is needed on punt returns.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know much about him. What do you think about Monheim? I really like the pick. I mean, what is he? I don't think that he's ever gonna, bust as a starter. But you want to talk about player versatility? There's not there. I mean, literally, he's played almost every position on the offensive line.
Okay. My thing with Monheim is I don't really trust Lincoln Riley's offensive lineman just in the NFL right now. There just has been such a gap that the lines just have not been developing well. And Monheim has good versatility, do not get me wrong. I wonder how much that was, though, that USC didn't have many playable offensive linemen in general.
Well, it's possible. I still think that he'll make the team, and
I think there's a chance he makes the team. I just I just have a question right now with how he develops offensive linemen going to the next level. Uh,
and then the running back out of Syracuse. I don't know much about him.
Guess what? I know a good bit about him. LaQuint Allen. This is a guy I liked a lot. I did not think he should have been a 7th-round pick. In fact, he just turned 21 this month. He is still a very young running back. He is talented. He is a bruiser. He is physical. He will put his shoulder down and run through a guy. Has good physicality, has good after contact balance, very talented player. And again, I look at a weak running back room in Jacksonville. I think he can very much make the team. And I would not be shocked if we saw a surprise cut of Big Spear ETN come cut down day.
Ooh, yeah, you and I can agree to disagree on that one.
Yep.
But that's okay. So you talked about Liam Cohen, and I know you're a big fan. Do you by any chance know who their passing game coordinator is?
I have it in my notes. Give me a quick second. Passing game coordinator. I know their offense coordinator is the young guy from Minnesota, Udensky.
Udensky. Yeah, Udensky's the OC.
Udensky. Well, I don't know how I don't remember it because he got a cool name. John Van Dam.
No.
Offense pass game specialist. That's what I have in my notes.
Shane Waldron.
Ew.
Passing game coordinator, Shane Waldron.
There he is. Good for him. He's still got a job. I hope for his sake he's not entering Chicago anytime soon.
I'm just saying that, that doesn't instill a lot of confidence for me.
You're traumatized. I understand. I understand that, but really at the end of the day, how much is he going to have say over the actual offense coordinator, Grant Udinski, and you look at the head coach who I don't know if it's been reported or not, if he's going to call players or not, Liam Cohen, who was a OC previously. So I don't know how much say he'll have in the whole pass game situation.
But Cohen was even only an OC for 1 year, right? And, let's face it, he just didn't change what was already going on.
Yeah, and that's fair. I like Cohen because I do think there is something there. And I think when I look at the Buccaneers as a whole, they really started to turn it on last year to the point I thought they were going to maybe go on a run, but injuries really took them out of it. Now, I look at with what Cohen did, translating to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen, I do not think will be the best head coach in this division. Let me be perfectly clear on this. But I think he's the biggest coaching upgrade because I think Doug Peterson was such a bad coach that it really hampered them.
No, I'm not going to argue there. I don't think that Cohen was ready yet. Okay. He stepped into it. If you think about it, one of the reasons why the Bucs are as strong as they are now is because 2 years ago, their OC at that time, and I'm not trying to be a homer, but the OC at that time was, did a great job in helping, helping the quarterback learn to be a quarterback again. So
yeah, and time will tell. I just think it's such an upgrade from Doug Peterson, and maybe Cohen is league average. I still view that as an upgrade, Doug Peterson. If you want to check out our thoughts on Doug Peterson, check out anything Jacksonville Jaguars we've talked about. They were not positive.
No, they're not. I just think that he got hired because of Dave Canales and what Dave Canales left behind. So,
And that's fair. Now, let's move on to the Titans. And the Titans, I honestly think we'll be spending more time on the draft here, but we have to address with what they lost. Harold Landry they cut. He was not the same after Mike Vrabel left. He didn't fit the new system. Mason Rudolph, I have my experience, Titans fans. I understand. Nick Westbrook, nothing really. Nick Folk. Now, that shocked me when I was going over the list. When I saw Nick Folk was no longer a Titan, I was like, okay, he's no longer a Titan. Did he retire? Oh, no, he's still in the league at 41 years old. Good for him.
hey, keep those paychecks coming in.
Yeah, no. Dylan Radins, okay. Luke Gifford. Ryan Stonehouse. Now, that shocked me because I think Stonehouse has one of the better legs in the NFL for a punter. And I do know they brought in Johnny Hecker. I get all that. I would still keep Ryan Stonehouse. Van Jefferson, I am so sorry, Titans fans. I experienced that last year. Lorenzo Carter, Braden Allen they brought in. Now, lost Jerome Baker. They lost a lot of guys. No real impact. Now, I want to let you can handle Cody Barton, Zeitler, Draymond Jones, Xavier Woods, then give me the floor, Dan Moore.
All right. So we'll take Dan Moore and then I'll go.
Okay, Dan Moore. Listen, I've seen the argument. He's an average tackle when he doesn't play Myles Garrett. I've seen that many a times. Counterpoint, do you know how fast the Steelers typically had to get rid of the football? And this was before Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Years prior, they were the fastest release team in the NFL. They'd get the ball, snap it, ball out quickly. Now, we look at last year. By the end of the season, when a quarterback held the ball a little longer, and it wasn't even as long as Russ typically holds it, he had a much shorter throw time, snap to throw time than he had previous years of his career. Dan Moore got beat bad. And here's the case, Dan Moore. He's going to start off the season really good. By the midway point, he's going to be unwatchable. He always does this every year. At the midway point last year, I was like, he's going to get paid. And then by the end of the season, I was like, thank God someone else is going to pay him. He is going to frustrate you, Titans fans. He's just going to. He gets beat with power very easily. Honestly, Dan Moore should have probably been a guard. He is not someone that can handle outside all that well. He has very limited foot movement. He gets himself in nasty situations, and then he will hold. He jumps off sides often. He is just not a good tackle, and I think a lot of this is betting on the Callahan's ability to develop offensive linemen, to get him into the system, see if they can work magic with him. Ultimately, I really think this is the worst contract I saw this offseason.
Well, the one counterpoint to that is, of course, you had already said it, Callahan. So we'll go to that. It's going to be a completely different offensive scheme. So maybe in their free agency reviews, they feel that he's going to be able to hold up for what they want, right? But it didn't stop there. I mean, they brought in Kevin Zeitler. He is not what he once was, but he's still a serviceable guard.
He's that Toby Keith guy. I'm not as good as I once
As
was.
I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. There you go. Draymond Jones. Seattle gave him a pretty good contract to get him out of Denver, and he just didn't pan out. But I firmly believe that it was one of those instances where you are drafting him or you're signing him to a big contract and expecting that he's going to be able to give you what he gave them, but he wasn't playing the same role. So shame on the Seahawks. Cody Barton, you're gonna love to hate him because he is a high effort guy, and he's smart, and he'll make some really, really spectacular plays. And then it will be like you're watching him run in mud as, Joe Flacco's smoking by him because all of a sudden he can't move. It's like a deer in headlights. So But he made himself a nice little bit of money. He played well in Denver last year, so give him that. Tyler Lockett. Tyler, we love you. We miss you. You're always a Seahawk. Um, that being said, I mean, I'm sure even he would admit that he's not the player that he once was. And due to salary cap, they had to they had to get rid of him. The one thing that this is going to do though is he is a great helper at developing talent and explaining how to run routes. So I think that in a lot of the ways that Seattle's going to be utilizing Cooper Cup, trying to help bring along the young guys. Tyler Lockett's going to do the same for the Titans, and Cam Ward's going to find out that Tyler's still got a couple of moves in him as well.
So, really hamper home on this Tyler Lockett because I think the Titans brought in 3 really talented wide receivers that I really do like as a whole. And I look at Tyler Lockett as a mentor type for them, especially Xavier Restrepo. Because Tyler, post-injury, was not as fast as he once was. Xavier Restrepo, just not a fast guy in general. But they just seem to win. They seem to know how to beat guys off the line of scrimmage. They seem to know how to run routes and just get to the ball. Those two, I think, will have a very good working relationship, and I expect them to work off each other very well as a mentee-mentor type role.
Well, there we go. And then, of course, we already talked about that. So, overall first pick in the draft. You want to talk about
Cam Ward, and this pick has been talked to death. I don't know if we'd add anything new. I will just say this. I made a video on the channel, one of the first draft videos I made this year, and it was, does Cam Ward make sense first overall? I said yes. Not because he's the best player. I think there were better players in this draft than Cam Ward. But you look at the Tennessee Titans, they had no one at quarterback. And they didn't seem to sign anyone at quarterback. And Cam Ward, he has his faults. He is turnover prone. He will have that Josh Allen-itis on steroids, and where he thinks he can get that ball in there, where he thinks he can hold in the ball and make that special play happen. That's just part of his game. He is a special talent. And let's travel back to 2024 draft class. I had him as the 4th rated quarterback before he went back into the transfer portal. That's how highly I thought of him. I thought of him higher than 3 other quarterbacks that were taken in the first round that year.
Impressive. Yeah, I'm not sure if this was just a matter of he was in the right place at the right time. I think he's a highly athletic and highly talented person, but we're going to see what happens.
Now, I do have a concern. You want to know what that concern is?
What's that?
This line might get him killed. With how he holds onto the ball, and especially he's going to have to learn that. He comes from Miami now, where he got to hold on to that ball for a long time. That can build bad traits, and that can lead him getting hit that he just doesn't need to take.
Oh, I think, I actually... of course, Christian Berry's out right now at center, but Skoronski and Moore on one side, Zeitler and J.C. Latham on the other side. I forgot that they had Jackson Slater too. And we haven't talked about him yet because he was 5th round. I really like Jackson Slater. I really do.
Well, getting him now. We're in the draft section. Go at it.
Well, I don't think we're there to him yet though.
No, okay, you want to wait. Okay. Oladejo, he really didn't do anything for me. I thought he was fine. I don't know if you have a big take on him.
These UCLA edges are scary good when they get in because their techniques are, so well coached, right? Does he have to develop a little bit? Probably, but you'll get productivity out of him. So I like it. I liked it a lot. The safeties from Penn State.
Ooh.
I mean,
that was a good woo. Kevin Winston Jr. You can take the floor with him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Good, good
There's a
guy for
guy from
nickel
Florida.
packages. Uh,
What's that?
well, I want to talk about Kevin Winston Jr. I get to talk about him. I loved him. Kevin Winston Jr. was a guy that I really think can be a game changer guy. He's someone I think can play the nickel safety route, someone that can just play the robber safety route. He's an extremely talented player that I think was a steal in the third round because teams do not prioritize the safety position like they should. Now, Chime DK. As you're going to give me the Florida guy, I might as well take him. Loved him his 1 year at Florida. With what DK is a route runner that has a very good deep ball running skill. He's not going to be the fastest guy, but he somehow gets open deep. And Cam Ward has a pretty good deep ball that can get him over the top. I would expect a couple deep shots a game to Chime DK just to take the top off of defense, help them out overall.
All right. What about Gunnar Helm?
I was a Gunnar Helm fan. Not because I thought he was a receiving tight end. No. This dude blocks his butt off at the tight end position. He is a guy that will try and move everyone, has really good technique. Honestly, he probably should have just grown himself out a bit more, put on some weight. I think he would have been a really highly sought after tackle if he eventually grew into that at the NFL level, but he's playing the tight end position. I think he's a really good blocking tight end. I really do. Alec Manor. How much did you hear about me talking about him during the draft process? Whew.
I don't remember.
Draft crush. I loved him. I really thought he was hampered by the offense he was in at Stanford. They could not throw the ball. Their quarterback play was atrocious. Alec Manor always got open. He always burned guys. And you know who he beat up in college? A guy drafted second overall named Travis Hunter.
Sounds like there's a couple guys that Hunter had a hard time covering.
I believe he had over 200 receiving yards against Hunter in college in that one game. It was a special game. Jack Slater, I'll hand you the floor for him.
Guard from Sacramento State. He's played center some too. Super versatile. I mean, he's a big kid. Moves really well. I really think that in a couple of years he will be a starting guard in the league. He's just, I mean, he's coming from a smaller school, of course, so you'll want to make sure that he's ready. But you watch out for Slater. He's gonna make a name for himself.
Okay. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't have a lot written up on Michael Harris. I didn't really watch a whole bunch of him. He was a cornerback from Cal. I saw some games he played against people. He was fine, solid. Nothing I really took note of too much.
Me either.
Now, Mullings, he intrigues me. This is a guy I don't mind taking with your last pick because there's potential there. In the 2024 season, he had 185 carries for 940 yards with 12 touchdowns. Now, that doesn't sound all that impressive, but it is because no one was afraid of Michigan throwing the ball. They loaded up that box and said, I dare you to beat us running the ball. And they beat some teams running the ball, and a large part of that was because of Mullings. He has good contact after good balance after contact, has some good burst. I think this could be a sneaky pick.
Well, we'll see. To be quite honest, I try not to watch very many Michigan games anyway, but that's just personal preference. But
wow.
But in the seventh round, I mean, yeah, take a guy. He's got some productivity. And here's the thing: they don't have a big back. Pollard, Tajay Spears, neither one of those guys are a big back. So
Tajay Spears left the preseason game with an injury.
Yeah, I did hear that. But you need a guy that you can just pound in the tackles as well, in between the tackles. So I think that this, he might have something there.
Yep. So
all right,
I want to ask you, what was the best move every team made in the offseason? Because I have written down some, and I'll go off mine. Number 1, Houston Texans, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I went into detail about that. Colts drafted Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren, like I said, special tight end talent that I really think can do something. Jaguars hired Liam Cohen. I really do like Liam Cohen. I think he has something there, and I think it's just a major upgrade from Doug Peterson. Titans, I think drafting Cam Ward is their biggest move because it's either a major home run swing or it's a miss that they will be in the position to take another guy sooner rather than later.
So I guess with Houston, what I'll say is they weren't afraid to cut bait on the OC and change things up. I mean, you think about it. After year one, there's a lot of talk about him getting his own head coaching job, and then just because of how things went last year, that went away. And a lot of teams will be, especially with a second-year head coach, a lot of teams would be afraid to pull the trigger that quick. But Houston wasn't. With the Colts, I'd say they weren't afraid to let, Will Freeze and Ryan Kelly go. They feel they have better options that are younger and healthier. So I think that was a good thing that they didn't let, we need to keep these guys and then continue to try to piecemeal when they go down. I mean, you think about it, and we'll get into talking about Freeze when we do Chicago, but
Minnesota.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. It is Minnesota. Sorry. But one of the things there is Minnesota waived they waived the checkup.
Yep.
And they give him a big deal. The Jags jettisoning the coach is Cohen the guy. Time will tell, but something new is definitely better in this instance. And the Titans, I think they're just, let's face it, they were abysmal last year. I was wrong. I can admit it, but they're not afraid to make a bunch of moves to try to make everything right. And that just shows that they're not so stuck on themselves,
Okay.
So who is your?
Well, let's do what positional upgrades we think this team should make real quick because we're already talking about them still. For Texans, I have just offensive line. This unit still does not inspire confidence in me. Who do you have for the Texans?
I have a swing tackle.
Yeah. Colts pass rush. I think their pass rush is just not that good.
I put potential center. That's. I like some of the pieces that the Colts have developmental for pass rush, but maybe the center position. How about for the Jags?
Tight end, like we discussed, Brendan Strange has some talent. We both liked him, but I still feel like they don't have a true number one tight end.
I think they need help in the secondary still.
Okay, Titans. Now I wrote this guard / backup for Kevin Zeitler because you don't know if he can stay healthy at his age.
Yeah, but I mean, so I see what you're saying there, but they do have some depth. Jackson Slater is backing up Zeitler, right? So I really think that they have a little more depth than you might think. For them, I put offensive weapons.
Yeah, and that's where I would say I think they have more depth there than you would say.
Ooh, their offensive weapons are old.
Let those young guys shine. Now, here's what I would say. Titans, I would maybe consider changing this to running back because this was written before the Tyjae Spears injury. If he is injured, I would say address the running back position.
All right. So who is your defensive rookie of the year?
Kevin Winston Jr.
Oh, I like it.
I couldn't pull the trigger on Travis Hunter for defensive rookie of the year because even though I think he should play more cornerback than wide receiver, I think he'll be playing more wide receiver. And maybe, listen, this is a media voted award. It would not shock me. But I look at Kevin Winston Jr., I felt like he was the most stable defensive player I could take here and run with.
I picked Hunter here, right? And one of the reasons why is because really he is going to have every opportunity to shine. Some of these other guys are going to be in and out of the lineup fighting for reps, so he's going to have more opportunity. So to sink or swim, to be quite honest. But I think that he'll be able to keep his head above water. Offensive rookie of the year, I picked Cam Ward.
I did not.
I I did, and for obvious reasons, he's a quarterback, right? Um, he's not going to be afraid to get out of the pocket and run a little bit, which I think will help out.
Okay.
And I think they're going to be trailing some, so he's going to be putting up some numbers, and that's what the media wants to see is numbers.
So to counter out that, I took Travis Hunter because we're talking about the media here. They have a hard on for that guy. Now, I understand Travis Hunter's a very special player, and I chose offense instead of defense because I think he'll just have more reps at offense. They seem to be prioritizing helping Trevor out more than anything else this offseason, so I think we'll see more Hunter on offense. And with Cam Ward, I think there's a couple factors. I don't think the Titans are going to be good, and I think he's going to have a lot of turnovers, and I think that will really damper some expectations by media members.
And that's possible. How about your defensive player of the year?
I had to go Will Anderson. I don't think there's a defender in this division as good as Will Anderson.
So I was basically kind of like fighting between Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. So I picked Anderson as well.
Ironically, my top three guys would probably all be Texans: Anderson, Hunter, and Stingley.
I could see that. I could see that. Offensive player of the year, CJ Stroud, and then MVP for me is CJ Stroud.
So I do offense player of the year different. I don't take quarterbacks for this. I have Brian Thomas Jr. as my offense player of the year, and I have my MVP as the sunshine comes down, Trevor Lawrence.
Wow, you are drinking the Coam Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and it's got a splash of sunshine in it, and it's amazing.
A little sun-kissed. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right. So order. So here's the thing. Do you want to go first on order, staff, or draft?
Let's go draft, because we talked in depth about the draft. We don't really have to add much to it. For my draft order, I had from first to last Titans, Jaguars, Texans, Colts. Love the Titans draft. By far my favorite. Jags were good. Texans, I liked a couple picks. Colts, I liked 2 picks.
That's funny. So I have Titans, Jags, Colts, and Texans. And then I have this little arrow between the Jags and the Colts because I like both of their drafts. And so in my opinion, it's like, potato. So, and we'll go staff next, right? So I have Texans, Colts, Titans, Jags. And here's the reason for that is, once again, I don't have anything against Cohen, but he's unproven. He basically got his job because, of Canales, and because he didn't screw it up. And there are a couple of coaches on that team that I'm not fond of. So that's how I got mine. And of course, I mean, the Colts and the Titans, I think that the Colts are ahead of the Titans there, and the Texans are kind of way out in front.
There's a massive gap between me with first and second place. I had the Texans in first place. This might shock you. I actually have the Colts in second place, and this is strictly because the Jags are very unproven as a staff, so I could not put them second. And the Titans, I'm just not a fan of, and that's the order. It's Jags third, Titans last. And as you said, you think Dave Canales got Liam Cohen the job. I think Joe Burrow got Callahan the job. And I was not a fan of a lot of their moves they made last year. I think this is a step in the right direction for the Titans. I enjoyed their offseason a good bit. I do question Callahan as a head coach. And Liam Cohen, I do like a good bit. And it was really the fact that I haven't seen Liam Cohen as a head coach. I've seen Callahan as a head coach, and one was really, really bad.
Well, one one had a really really bad quarterback too. So
Hey, don't discredit Mason Rudolph. He took a team to the playoffs a couple years ago.
there you go. Yes, he did. All right. So order.
Do you want to go last to first? Because I think that'll be the more interesting part.
Okay. Last, I have Titans. Then I have Jags. Then I have Colts, and then winning it is the Texans.
Last, Indianapolis Colts. I think he'll be in the race for the first overall pick. Titans, I think they'll be improved from last year. Cam Ward, I think, will have improvement. But this team's just not ready for the next step. Now, second place, Houston Texans. I could not put you first place because I think that offense line is a train wreck that's going to get C.J. Stroud killed. And first place, I've been hyping them up all offseason. I have been saying it. Give me those Jacksonville Jaguars to surprise everyone in the NFL this year and win the division.
Well, there you have it, folks. Go hit those Vegas lines. Just remember that uh, if you win, send us some. If you lose, it wasn't our fault.
Yeah, pretty much. That will wrap us up for today. I hope you all enjoyed the AFC South divisional preview. There's going to be a lot coming out this upcoming week. If you want to check out some more previews, there is 2 other divisional previews we have on the channel. They're both West Divisionals. Whoops. And if you want to see a team preview for every single team, I have a 32 team previews videos up on this channel. Every single team got one. They're all out. They're all for your viewing pleasure. And if you disagree with us, go down in that comment section. Tell us how big of an idiot we are, whether you're a fan of one of these teams or not, or if you're neutral, give us your thoughts on it. Because we are neutral fans. We're not fans of teams in this division. So we have a different view compared to a lot of people who are fans. It's very interesting to see everyone's opinion, and that's one of the most beautiful things about sports is everyone has an opinion, and we will be proven right or wrong when that ball is kicked off in September. I hope you all enjoyed this. Stay tuned. Some fantasy football content will be coming down on this channel very shortly. Have a great day, everyone, and rejoice. Football is officially back.